Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. Today we're going to be doing another unboxing video. Today we will be looking at Last Blitzkrieg from Multi-Man Publishing, the gamers in the series, and game designer Dean Essig. This is a game about at least a good chunk of the Battle of the Bulge, and it is the first game in the Battalion Combat series, which has been on my radar for a while, and I recently had a chance to pick one of the games up at Winter Offensive, and they have a raffle there, and I won this in the raffle. So you get to see it for the first time along with me. I have actually seen it on a table before. They were playing it a couple years ago at Buckeye Game Fest. So Battalion Combat Series is something that we have set up and fooled around with over here a very little bit. And we are agreed that there is something very, very interesting going on in this system, and we would like to explore it, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. So this is in the 3-inch big multi-man box. So it's a big box game, and it's a fairly large game. We'll see how big in a second. I think it's only 4 maps, I think. I could be wrong. We will find out momentarily. So we have the box, standard MMP box, pretty much. We have the contents card that is traditional for Multi-Man Publishing. And what we should have here is 1 box and lid, 4 22 by 34-inch map sheets, 6 counter sheets, 1 BCS rulebook, 1 Last Blitzkrieg specific rulebook, 1 BCS crib notes booklet, 2 BCS charts and tables booklets, 2 Last Blitzkrieg charts and tables booklets, 2 6-sided dice. Okay, so if you don't know, there is a website called gamersarchive.net, I believe. I will, if it's .net or .com or .org or whatever, I'll put a link to it in the notes below where you can download the latest version of all these rules. So we have the Last Blitzkrieg game-specific rulebook. This is, I would say, absolutely typical production quality from the gamers. It is a 36-page book on quite thick paper, and it is relatively dense. Let's see what we have for scenarios. Looks like we have 10 scenarios here. Last Blitzkrieg campaign, Breakthrough campaign, Northern campaign, Southern campaign, Comp Group Piper, the Goose Egg, Bastogne, Advance and Destroy, Tip of the Spear, and Final Blitzkrieg. So what do we have for actual rules, I guess is the question. We're on page... Okay, so game-specific rules here. Now, this is the first game in the series, so it may be that this is not typical of the series. I don't know yet. But it looks like there are 4 or so, 4.5 maybe, pages of game-specific rules for this, and then we are into designer's notes. And I always love reading these gamers' designers' notes because they're always extremely thorough. You can see, look at the designer's notes here. There's a lot here. I have bought... games from Dean specifically, and maybe from other designers doing games in the Gamers series of games, solely on the strength of looking at the designer's notes and seeing what the designer was trying to do. Like I said, there's some very interesting things going on in here. I do not feel competent in any way to actually discuss what those things might be because I don't think I grasped them yet. All right, so we have a counter sheet. We have charts and tables. This is on a semi-gloss, I would say, like a satin finish, reasonably heavy card. Counter sheet BCS standard markers. You will notice these rotary markers. Before I had actually played a game with these rotary markers, I was very hesitant because I thought that they would be very awkward and clumsy, and if you got a stack jostled, you wouldn't know what the number was supposed to be because it's dependent on facing. As it turns out, we used them in a line of battle game about the Battle of Antietam, None But Heroes, and I found that they actually worked pretty much totally fine. So my reservations about those aren't really as serious as I thought they were. Also, in BCS, the counter density is much, much lower than it is in line of battle in Antietam, certainly. So we got a sheet of these. We have a map A. As usual, I like the style of these maps. They look like typical gamers maps in that they are designed to be extremely functional. We have a small booklet here, which I'm having trouble extracting. Allied Charts and Tables. This is an 8-page booklet, and it contains the reinforcement schedule and some Allied specific charts and tables, and general charts and tables, actually, and a TEC, so that's good. All right, so put that here. We have another counter sheet. This is going to be counter sheet 1. We got some Germans here. The game is a formation-driven game, so each one of these chits that you see here represents a formation. I don't believe that the formations are color-coded in any way in this game. So we have, for example, I take this to be Waffen-SS. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Waffen-SS formations, but they're all just black. The latest game in the series, at least, Brazen Chariots, does put colored stripes on the counters, which I think is an improvement. So, German charts and tables out of Blitzkrieg. This is only 4 pages, presumably because of the much smaller reinforcement schedule, order of arrival, and that does appear to be the case. We have a last Blitzkrieg sheet here with the start of some Americans, some more rotary markers and other markers, and some more Germans. This is a big game, actually. I mean, there's going to be a sheet and a half of Germans on here. You're not necessarily going to have them all on the map at the same time, from my cursory understanding, but we'll hopefully get to do a video on BCS soon, because I think one of my buddies down here, we're pretty interested at this point in figuring out this system. So this is the series rules, and this is the same type of format as the other booklet. Again, it's black and white, matte finish, quite thick paper, 40 pages. There is a table of contents, which is very useful, and charts and tables on the back, a couple of pages, and a whole bunch of series designer's notes, which I will enjoy going through. I've actually gone through these before, but now that I have one of them, I have a reason to go through them again. Charts and tables, we got one of those already. Here is a map. This would be, let's see, map B. So this is map B. This is, I believe I mentioned, a 4-map game. Trying not to... so Multiman does this weird thing that I think is the result of the way they collate, where they'll all like alternate things in the map. They'll like map, counter sheet, player aid, map, counter sheet. It's a little weird, but I mean, it's not a problem per se. Here's another sheet of BCS standard markers. These are, by the way, on a white core stock, which feels pretty thick for white core stock. This is stock that I've seen the Multiman use in the past. We have another map, which again, I'm having a little trouble picking these things up. This is map C. I will fold out one of these a little bit at least so you can get a sense of what it looks like, but I do not have the capacity at this exact moment to show you the whole thing. Certainly it's a 4-map game. So you can see, you know, we've got a lot of rough and wooded terrain in here, as befits the Ardennes. If I am not mistaken, there are scenarios of various sizes, so there should be 1 map scenario. We have 2 6-sided dice, which are pretty much the standard multi-man 6-sided dice. We have a counter sheet of Americans here, entirely Americans. I don't know if the game gets to the point where, or includes in its geographical scope, the part of the Battle of the Bulge that the British got to participate in. I don't think it does, so I think we should just see Americans here. Here's map D. We have another, and what looks like the last counter sheet. We're going to take a look at the scenarios here in a minute, too. And we have this Series Rules Crib Notes 1.0, which I'm, again, having trouble extracting. It's like 17 degrees here, so my hands are probably real dry. So this is 4 pages. It looks like a general rules summary. I don't think I've seen this, and this looks like it's going to be real handy. So let's take one last sweep here. I'm going to put the counter sheets, and I'm going to put the maps, and I'm going to put this and everything else except the scenario book in here, because I want to see something with the scenarios. So let's push this aside for now, and the dice. We want to keep those dice. All right, so scenario page 20. There's like 15 pages of designer's notes here, which is a lot. All right, so the last Blitzkrieg campaign occurs on all 4 maps. The first turn is 16 December 44, and the last turn is 31 December 44. Are these one-day turns? I am not sure. They might easily be one-day turns. The map scale is 1 kilometer per hex. Well, the temporal scale of the turns might be slightly abstract too. There's a chit pull mechanism in this game, but it's not really a randomized chit pull mechanism. That's an option one way or the other. Okay, 5.2 is the breakthrough campaign. Playing area is maps C and D, and it's 16 to 21 December, so that's less than a week. That's about 5 days. This one is 16, so this one is about 2 weeks. And I think that's probably the length of it. 16 to 21, this is only map C. Southern campaign is probably just map D, and it's 16 to 21, so it's another 5 days. Comp Group Piper is map C north of CXX.14 inclusive, so this sounds like it's a relatively smallish section of map C. So this looks like a super manageable scenario. You can see there's a fair amount of units here, but and quite a bit of German stuff is that for that matter. The Goose Egg is 18 December to 22 December, so once again 5-6 days. And this one is map C, part of map C. Looks like an even smaller part, actually. Bastogne, Screaming Eagles Under Siege. This is maps B and D, and it is December 19th through the 26th. 5.8 Advance and Destroy is all of map B, east of B46.XX inclusive, and all of map D, and it's the 22nd through the 31st. So this is, without looking at the details of what all these represent, and I think we know what the Piper, and Bastogne scenarios represent, and the campaign, and then final Blitzkrieg, which is, looks like the second half. So there's a rich, as is also typical for the gamers' games, there's a rich scenario selection here, which I always appreciate. You know, optimally, you'd love to be playing the whole campaign all the time, but sometimes you don't have the time or the space to do that. Sometimes you need to learn the game before you can approach the big campaign. And smaller scenarios and a variety of scenarios allow you to do that, and I always like to see it. So, the last Blitzkrieg. It is a quite big, heavy box, and now I'm into another series of games. Thanks so much, Multiman Publishing. If you have enjoyed the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave me any comments or questions below. There is more content coming, hopefully more content for BCS as soon as I can get to it. Let me know if there's anything you would like to see, and I'll see you next time.